Welcome back to my series, Dance Mums Uncovered. While I've already dedicated an episode to Cathy and her role on the show, there are still plenty of shocking secrets behind the other members of the Candy Apples team. From completely fake storylines to unaired drama, there was certainly more to the Candy Apples Dance Centre than the producers cared to show. Feel free to share your thoughts on the following evidence. First, let's look at Kendall joining the Candy Apples. In Season 2, Episode 8, Jill storms out of Pyramid with Kendall after Abby puts her back on probation. That same episode, Jill takes Kendall to join the Candy Apples, with whom she travels to compete against her old team. When it comes to Kendall joining the Candy Apples, a lot of people have suspected that it was all staged by the producers. Well, it turns out that there's a lot of evidence to support this theory. 2 episodes before all this happened, Abby and Jill had a big fight, because instead of creating a costume from scratch for Kendall to wear, Jill tried to put Kendall in one of her old costumes. Jill revealed during a Q&A that she was told by the producers to fight for Kendall to wear the white costume, even though they knew full well that Abby wasn't going to let Kendall wear it.
But the producers, I had brought racks and racks of costumes in, and that's the costume they picked and told me, they gave it to me and said, this is the costume you're taking to give Kendall to wear. So it was a little bit manipulated, and I was kind of set up because Abby had no intention of letting Kendall wear that costume, but the producers said, go in there and fight to wear that costume.
This fight caused a lot of tension between Abby and Jill, even though some of the other girls also reused costumes. Jill herself has tweeted that her trip to the Candy Apples was totally produced. However, Kendall's distressed reaction when her mother drags her out of the ALDC seems very genuine. So does this mean that Kendall was just a brilliant actress? The scene where Jill storms out seems to be real, because Jill has mentioned that her intention that day was to quit the ALDC and join another studio. Although there was some dodgy editing going on, because contrary to the show's storyline, Kendall was there for the whole pyramid. Since they were under contract with Lifetime, they were told that their only choices were to go to the Candy Apples or rejoin the ALDC. Jill has said that she was just trying to make the best out of a difficult situation, and she was probably hoping that there would be less drama on the Candy Apples team.
I cried in my bed when I found out I had to go to Candy Apples. I did not want to go.
You know, we wouldn't have gone to Candy Apples unless the producers told us to. Because I said, that's okay, we don't have to be on Dance Moms, we'll just go back to our studio and be fine. But they literally made us go to Candy Apples.
That was totally produced. I live 2.5 hours away from Cathy in her studio. And I had signed a contract that said I would be on Dance Mom. Because I signed a contract and agreed to go, I had to make the best of it.
Holly revealed both on the show and on Twitter that she believes her daughter was set up this week and used as a pawn in a manipulative game between adults. This was because Nia was told all week that this was her chance to shine, but then Kendall was also given a solo to compete directly against her. I'm inclined to believe that Holly's statements aren't just about being caught between Abby and Cathy's feud, but also about being set up by the producers. Next, let's explore when Kendall left the Candy Apples. At a Q&A, Christi discussed Kendall and Jill's time at the Candy Apples. She said that they came back to Abby's studio sooner than the show made it appear.
Yeah, she went, well, for the show, yes, but she came back to Abby sooner than you saw.
This makes a lot of sense, since Kendall actually competed with the ALDC during the filming hiatus between seasons 2 and 2.5, while she was supposedly at the Candy Apples. Lastly, it seems like Jill and Cathy genuinely do not like each other. Looking at content from outside the show, Jill has said that Cathy is crazy, and Cathy confirmed in an interview that she doesn't like Jill. So it seems like Kendall's return to the ALDC was 100% faked for the show. 3. Working for the Candy Apples. One of the most well-known choreographers for the Candy Apples team was Anthony Burrell, who created dances for their team in Season 3. Anthony was a pretty dramatic character on the show, fighting with the Candy Apples mums, Cathy, the ALDC mums, and Abby. As it turns out, he was brought in by his cousin, Michael Hammond, who was one of the Dance Moms executive producers.
You know, it's just my cousin Michael Hammond that put me on Dance Moms and the TV shows. My cousin is a producer on the show, and he suggested that I send him my information.
And he certainly brought the drama for his cousin's show, even though some of it was so crazy it was unaired. Even though he choreographed for both Dance Moms and Abby's Ultimate Dance competition, he and Abby did not get along. Abby revealed in a podcast interview that she filed a restraining order against Anthony because he allegedly spat in her face and shoved his finger in her face.
Anthony Burrell comes to the studio.
Anthony Burrell's a
like
no.
I remember he was
filed a restraining order against him.
What?
You can't get in my face and scream at me and spit in my face at 2 inches and put your finger in my face. I'm not putting up with it.
Well,
Twice.
Anthony hasn't spoken very highly of Abby either, claiming that he believes Abby doesn't really know what she's talking about. Secondly, I wanted to briefly discuss the beef jerky commercial that Chloe was hired to film with the Candy Apples dancers. Christi assured fans on Twitter that she had no choice but to do the commercial, and that there was nothing she was able to do about it. While discussing her most embarrassing moment from the show, Chloe said that she remembered bawling when she had to step out in the meat suit.
But I did this commercial for one of the castmates. It was so embarrassing. I was like 8 years old and I remember walking out of the room and I just started crying. I was like, I don't want to wear this. No, I did not eat any of the beef jerky because I don't like beef jerky, and I think I was scarred from that experience.
I find it awful that no one pulled the plug on this whole idea when it became obvious that Chloe felt totally humiliated. It seems as though this commercial was never released anywhere but in the show, which makes it a pretty fake and pointless scene. Evidence number 4, the Morales siblings. 2 of the most talented students to ever appear on the Candy Apples team were Mackenzie and Gavin Morales. Their mother Jo has been very open on Tumblr about their experiences. Apparently, Abby was very impressed with the Morales kids when they first joined the show. In fact, she came to the Candy Apples dressing room and told them that Gavin should come take lessons at her studio. However, it seems that some unaired drama changed everything. Here's what Jo had to say about what went down. We were asked to go to the open call auditions for several reasons that have not been revealed on the show yet, so I can't say. Once we were there and Bridget found out we were there, she sent a video she took of Mackenzie to Melissa, who then gave it to Abby. Abby played the video in front of about 50 people with the sole intention of embarrassing my 11-year-old and me. The video was recorded by Bridget last June. She's kept it on her phone for that long. The video was taken during a travel day. We took 2 vans to New Jersey. Gavin went with me with Evan, Gino, his dad and Evan's mum. Mackenzie went with Bridget, her son, Melissa and her mum. During the trip, Bridget was talking in a vulgar manner about Gino's mother. She kept repeatedly calling her an offensive term using vulgarities. She kept telling Mackenzie to repeat the phrase. Mackenzie said no several times. This has been verified by the other occupants in the van. Bridget wouldn't leave Mackenzie alone. She kept saying, "Repeat it so I can record it." Mackenzie said she felt afraid because of the way Bridget was demanding she say the phrase. Bridget recorded herself saying the phrase and telling Mackenzie to say it. Mackenzie finally did. No one else recorded it. I was not there to protect my baby. Alyssa's mum told Mackenzie not to repeat it, but Mackenzie said she was afraid of Bridget. She held on to this tape for months. She texted the recording to Melissa at the audition when she found out we were there. Melissa then gave her phone to Abby so she could play it for everybody. I walked out bawling. Abby kept saying this is disgusting. No child with a mouth like this will be on my team. I tried to explain how it happened and she refused to allow me to. Bridget fought back against these accusations on Twitter, saying that these are all lies and that neither she nor Abby would ever do such a thing. It's worth noting that Bridget was also desperate to have Lucas join the ALDC team. She tweeted that Lucas only likes the ALDC team and that the producers were heterophobic for not letting him join. According to Jo, not only did Lucas swear at Gavin, but he also repeatedly called Mackenzie fat during their time on the team. In case there was any doubt that Lucas swore at Gavin, Lucas recently posted on Instagram asking Gavin to forgive him. In December of 2014, Mackenzie was competing directly against Maddie, and Abby confronted her backstage. She apparently put her finger in Mackenzie's face and told her that she wanted the whole world to know how horrible she is. Apparently during the same competition, someone showed the video of Mackenzie to the judges to try and get her scores lowered. During the awards ceremony of the competition, Abby refused to stand near Gavin for a photograph. and she has made comments about Mackenzie's weight before. This is particularly horrible because Mackenzie had anxiety, which she and her mother have been very open about. She also went on to be diagnosed with developing anorexia, which seemed to stem from her anxiety. I'm very surprised that all of this drama managed to stay out of the show, although apparently Joe is a lawyer and sent a cease and desist letter to Bridget and Collins Avenue, which is probably why it was kept under wraps. Joe has also talked about some of the bias that they experienced at competitions. In Season 6, Episode 1, the BDA team got points deducted from their score because they took too long to set up their props. Joe says that their routine wasn't announced, the producers held them up, and that after all that, the judges told them that the scores they wrote down were not the ones announced at the awards ceremony. Lastly, did Cathy poach her students? Abby accused Cathy of poaching students for years. Well, unsurprisingly, the producers are the ones behind the casting for the Candy Apples team. Zach Torres, a contestant on Season 1 of Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition, revealed that the Candy Apples competition team is a very on and off gig. He was brought into Candy Apples specifically for filming Dance Moms, along with the other dancers who were on the team after Season 2. While he wasn't filming on the show, he would continue to train at his home studio.
It's like kind of like an on and off thing, like you go for guest episodes every few weeks. It was really tough on me to accept the offer because you have to remember it's a TV show, and I've never really seen Cathy or ever seen the Candy Apples outside of TV.
Chloe Smith and Tessa Wilkins were interviewed at the ALDC LA opening, where they admitted that they didn't know Cathy either until they began to film Dance Moms with her.
Yeah. And before we even got on the show, Cathy didn't even know who we were.
Really? Yeah.
We met her like the day we started filming. She was like, who are you?
Yeah, we were like closer with Abby by far.
Yeah. She just knew Abby from Abby's Ultimate, right?
Yeah.
But I actually danced with Abby like at her studio. I was on her senior company team.
When Cathy congratulated Chloe Smith in a Facebook post, she used quotations when she said, "my dancer." She also called Hayley Hulsman her favourite show kid. So while Cathy may not have had kids on her team that she had trained herself after Season 2, she wasn't the one who wanted to poach students from across the country. Although they weren't the focus of the show, the Candy Apples team had a lot of drama of its own. While some of it was faked and set up by production, there were other genuine feuds that formed during this time, and unfortunately, there were several kids who got caught in horrible situations. So what do you guys think? Do you think the Candy Apples storylines were fake? And what are your thoughts on the unaired drama? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!